Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my Sunday live stream where we talk about photography and catch up on what's new and what's been going on and just to kind of reconnect every now and then, make sure everybody's doing okay. And if you have any questions about Olympus cameras or photography, I always do my best to try to answer those. So feel free to ask me anything. I always do my best. And also, let me just thank everyone ahead of time for taking time out of your day and spending it with me. It's always the highlight of my day to be here, and I really enjoy talking to all of you as much as we can through YouTube. That said, somebody chime in, let me know you can see and hear me okay. There's no video problems. Um, if the video is a little bit out of sync, maybe try refreshing your screen. I can refresh my screen. Sometimes that helps. So I'll just do that real quick. There. Hopefully that worked. Hopefully you can still see me. I don't know if there's any lip sync issues, but I know there's about a 20-second delay in the chat section. So I'll give that a second and I'll take a little sip of my coffee here. Wow, we're going through a bit of a cold spell. Here. I mean, it's supposed to get up to, I guess, it's like 50 now, and it's supposed to get up to 60 degrees, which I think is 20 Celsius today. But I've kind of gotten used to the warm weather because we've had a few days here where it's been really nice, and hence, all the vlogs that I did this past 2 weeks, I've been trying to go out as much as I can, but this week has been kind of cold, and hopefully it'll warm up by tomorrow and Tuesday, and then I can start going out again and doing some vlogs. Oh, sorry, let me fix my collar. Didn't even button my shirt, sorry. Oh, so let's see who's here. Plato, John, Michael White, Jeff Painter, Lysippus, John Allen. How do you turn off flicker scan in your EM1 Mark II? I need to get my camera. My EM1 Mark II is doing the live stream right now, but the EM1 Mark III I think is very similar. So let me get that. All right, it's right here. Got a vintage Nikon 105 f2.5. Been playing with this lens a little bit lately. It's heavy though, man. It just reminds me of why I stopped shooting full frame. But okay, let me turn this on. And oops. I got a different button here. Number 5. Let's try that. Yeah. Okay. Turn this on. Oh my goodness. Big old thumbprint on here. Still there. Hopefully that's not a scratch. Okay. It's a little bit of glare, but let's see. You go into the menu, and see if I can remember where this is. It might be in the utility menu. No. And it's going to be, I know the menu's a little different on the M1 Mark III, but it should be relatively the same. Display, display, display. So I was just turning my flicker. Here it is. It's in the C menu, the capture menu, which I think is the same on the M1 Mark III. And then you have a flicker reduction. Oh, you can't see crap here. Hold on. Let me adjust the exposure. All right, so you go into the custom menu, the cog here, and then you go into the C menu, and then you just scroll down until you see flicker reduction. And then in flicker reduction, you have anti-flicker. I just set it to auto, but you can set it to 50 or 60. And then anti-flicker shooting, you can turn this on or off. So that should be it. That should do it. Oh wow. This is my this is, what do you call it? My unprocessed image here. No green screen. Wow, I look a mess. I did kind of rush to get online today. I don't know why. I was going through my form and my emails, and there we go. Hopefully that works, John. Like I said, the menu's a little bit different on the M1 Mark II, but it does have flicker reduction, and I think the settings are similar. But it would definitely be in the same menu under C, I'm pretty sure. What's the bottom bracket I use on my EM1 Mark III? Okay. I'll show you where I bought it on Amazon. Oops, wrong button. Let's see. Bracket. Oh, currently unavailable. There's got to be another one. Oh, here's one. Wow, it's coming directly from China, though. Let me see. This is button number. Let's try number 2. This is not the exact one I bought. Well, it's the exact same one, but mine had a brand on it. But when I go to that page, so I bought this one last year when I got my EM1 Mark III, but now they don't have it available. But then I saw this one up here. But this one takes like a month to get here. I don't see any more. That's odd. I'm sure some more will keep coming out. But you know, this bracket has, and I talked about this I think on my last stream, so I'll be brief. This bracket has a little slot here, so you can do an L bracket as well, and it's an Arca Swiss on the bottom. So if you have Arca Swiss tripod plates, you can just slide this right on. You don't have to attach and disattach, right? And of course, the battery door still opens. The only downside to this, well, there's two caveats to this bracket that I found. Was it doesn't actually have a pin that secures the bracket onto the camera. So no matter how tight you make this 1/4-20 screw, it works itself loose even after just mounting it a few times. So your camera will wiggle a little bit if you touch it. But what I did is I put some thick double-sided tape in between, and then once I tighten this, now I have, you know, tape and friction holding this on nice and secure. And this has been 100% solid now. And I can say that because I use this for my real estate photography, where I bracket shots, and you know, the images have to be perfectly aligned, and that wouldn't happen if this wasn't secure, and it is. So that's one. Okay. Number 2 is there's no 1/4-20 screw on the bottom. There's the screw to screw into the camera, but there's no 1/4-20 screw on the bracket itself. And that's really not a deal breaker or anything, but I have different tripods, right, that don't have Arca Swiss plates on them, like my Manfrotto plates for my video tripods. And I can't screw that directly onto the brackets. So what I have to do is take this bracket off to mount it onto the Manfrotto plate. So you may or may not have that problem, but that is something that I run into. So if this were my only camera, uh, that might be a deal breaker for me if this were my only camera. But I have other cameras and I can just mount without worrying about it because all my L brackets have 1/4 20 screws on the bottom. And then the alternative is you can buy generic L brackets that work just fine. I left mine out in the other room I was using it, but okay, let's see. Thomas has got to go walk the dog. That's awesome. Oh, people are asking about the Flickr group. Yeah, I did start a community page where, a lot of you have gotten to know each other through the forums or through the live streams. And an easy way for you guys to get together instead of having to exchange, everybody else's and connect through everybody's usernames and various websites. You can just post a few images like in the Flickr community page. If you have to join Flickr, but and then share your images that way. And then when you share your images, you don't upload them to my community page. You have your own Flickr page and you just share your image on my community. So it's not like you have to upload again, right? It's very simple. And it's a really nice way to look at images because I do have that set up on my forum as well. But it's not quite as engaging or as fluid as working in Flickr. That's a dedicated image sharing platform, right? So let me find that real quick. Back to this page. All right, so here's my Flickr page. It's just flickr.com/photos/robtrek as up here. Then you just go to my groups, and then you'll see Rob Trek Community. And then you can start discussions apparently. You can just share your images here. So like Terry Noon was the very first member of the community, and he shared this image. And now I can just go and follow Terry Moon like so, right? So this is a much easier way to connect if you just want to share images and talk about stuff. I mean, the only downside is I also do the photo editing live streams where you submit your raw images generally, and I edit them live for you, right? And this doesn't let you upload your raw images. So I'm not able to group or categorize, you want to have these images edited, you don't want it. So the best way to still edit, if you want to submit images for editing, is through uh, the live stream links themselves, and not here. But that's a very minor thing. But for the most part, like I said, I just started. I forget who recommended this, but about 2 weeks ago, someone suggested I start a Flickr group. So I said, okay. I mean, how hard can that be, right? And there you have it. So there's not much there, but um, I think it's kind of a neat way to connect with each other outside of the live streams or outside of my YouTube channel. And it's free. I think you get like 1,000 images free to upload if you don't have a Flickr account already. And then you can get a pro membership. It's like $50 a month, which gives you a lot of perks that I've never used. But they apparently you get more than your $50 worth if you take advantage of all the perks, which I'll have to look at again. But there's a lot of perks with Flickr, and I know Flickr was in trouble or has been in trouble for years and years. I don't know what their status is now, if things have recovered and they're fine, but they've been bought and sold over time. I don't know how many times, and I forget who owns them now. Maybe SmugMug or somebody owns them now and is trying to keep it alive because it is really a fantastic platform for sharing images, much better than Instagram, in my opinion, because I can click on an image. Let me click on one of mine, and it has all the EXIF data right here. And then, like this one I did straight out of camera, and you can click on additional EXIF info, and you can see all these other settings. And this one, is straight out of camera because it doesn't say Lightroom or anything in the EXIF data, right? It's just all the same EXIF data you would use or see in your JPEG file. And even if you see the word Lightroom in here, it doesn't mean that it was edited. It just means that you exported from Lightroom the image, because Lightroom then tacks on its own EXIF data. But I believe even the Lightroom EXIF data, like some settings, might get transferred in here. I've never looked at it that closely, but anyhow, that's that. So join us over at Flickr on my community page. Share your images. I'd love to see them personally and get to know more of you and your photography. I always learn a lot when I look at other people's images, and it inspires me to some extent to try new things. And it's also a good way to share images that, like, I got a question in the email that about using flash sync, like rear curtain sync and slow sync type flash photography. And I've never done a tutorial on anything like that because it's not something I use, so I wouldn't be able to come up with good examples. However, most of my tutorials don't have great examples anyway. I just show you the settings in the menu and do a simple example. But this would be a great way to point me in the direction of what kind of look creatively you're going for. Like you might see, because the slow flash or rear curtain sync flash stuff is like stuff where you want a little bit of blur or motion blur in the image, but then you want to freeze the action at a certain point at the end of the exposure. In this case, is the only kind of rear curtain sync photography examples I've seen, but there might be other applications if you really think about how to use that feature. What creative ideas can you come up with other than that very simple example? Like if I were moving my hand this way across the frame, you would see the blur of my hand across the frame, and then it would be frozen right here at the end of the cycle because the flash fired, and flash effectively is like a shutter, right? It'll freeze the action, a high-speed shutter, so it'll freeze the action. And that's the only thing I've ever seen really, and it's not something I've ever used or thought about using for anything because it has to be dark, right, more or less. And but again, I'm very limited by my creativity in this point because there may be some very creative ways to use it. So I just haven't seen it, and that's what I mean by I learn a lot from all of you, just from you asking me questions. Just because you don't know doesn't mean I do. But since I'm relatively competent photographer and understand the camera settings and all of that, if you show me an example of what you're trying to do, I can usually figure it out, right? So that's that. Oh, thank you, Ed. I try. Really, I'm honestly, I'm just an amateur photographer for the most part, right? Yeah, I do some professional work, technically professional, quote unquote, meaning I get paid to do photography and I get offered jobs time to time, but it's not, it's been a little slow lately. I don't know why. Um, I mean, it used to be people would just call me and I'd go out and do a job and I didn't have to market. It was all word of mouth. But this year, I've only had 3 or 4 photo jobs. And I know why to some extent. I don't know why people aren't just calling me anymore. Maybe I have to put myself out there more and market a little bit and say, yes, I'm still alive. I still take pictures, give me a call. Because, out of sight, out of mind, I guess, right? Um, but that's, so never ask me about business advice, you know, because you will fail as miserably as I have, I think. Not to say that I haven't had some success and really enjoyed it, uh, but yeah. Okay. Andreas says the latest photos were great on Instagram. Oh, thank you, Andreas. I appreciate that. Oh, I got this chat button here. I should learn to use this. So like Plato says, Flickr lets you. Yeah, and that's the other thing I like about Flickr, right? Is I can upload the full res image. Unlike Instagram, it's compressed, to some degree. And Flickr, you get pretty much the full res. I don't know if it's compressed at all, but you get the full 16 or 20 megapixels or whatever you upload. So you can really punch in and see the fine details um, in the image. Like if you look at, where's my photo stream? Oh, wrong button. What button number is it? Number 2. God, I reassigned all my buttons, so I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like this image here. This one here is straight out of camera, right? Straight out of camera JPEG, and I'm trying to put my settings here for everyone as well. And like I said, look how close you can get in, and then when you get in close, you can see some of the noise because this was at ISO 1600. You can see how much detail was captured here and there. So I think that's what I like about Flickr, right? I think I disabled the download button just so people don't get carried away, but I put my images out there for everyone to download time to time. Because my images aren't anything special. um, Now, if I see somebody NFTing my images and making a boatload of money, I might get a little more serious about it. But for the most part, the images, I'm happy to share them with everyone. Okay, so we'll go back to this and this, yes. And if anyone's asked me a question and I haven't answered at this point, just ask it again because I'm not going to be able to scroll up and find it at this point. But let me see what everybody's talking about. Is real estate not on fire? Oh, it is on fire. It's hot. But see, I do commercial real estate, not residential. I mean, I've done residential, but it's a very small part of my business. And commercial is a little rough because most people are working from home. And Andrea says Flickr is great. Yes. And Roberto says my autumn walk I did was great. Thanks. Yeah, I was using the E500. It's a great little camera. I'm going to try and take it out some more. And someone had asked me in that video where I used that camera, if they could see a side by side with a modern camera. And actually, on that particular photo walk that I did take images with my EM5 Mark III and the E500 together. I tried to frame them the best I can, given that different lenses and you just can't frame things exactly the same every time. That's why you have a tripod, right? But I was hand holding. And I was thinking about doing a video where I show the images from the EM5 Mark III right side by side with the E500. I don't know if there'd be any interest in that other than the one person who asked me. I mean, it'll come up here. Roberta said you'd buy an NFT Rob Trick photo. John Truman says $49 a year, not per month. Yes, per year. And Double Dash is asking me if I seen a picture of Carter and Biden's where the photographer used a wide. No, I have not seen that. Oh wait, I did see that. Yeah, wide angle distortion, right? Carter and his wife look tiny, like miniatures next to Biden and his wife on the ends. They look huge. But let me tell you something. Uh, I think that is a very deliberate technique that those photographers use when they do photo ops when there's the president together with someone else. Because when you look at photos, when the president is doing a photo op with, like, in this case, it was Jimmy Carter, but um, you go back over the years and you look at photographs of prominent figures. I don't know what they do in other countries, but I know here, prominent figures, they intentionally use wide angle lenses and ask the prominent figure to stand more towards the left side or right side of the shot so that they are proportion, they're going to look bigger than the other people in the shot. Um, so yeah, when you look at photos, you'll see it time to time. They don't do that a lot, but you'll see it time to time where they intentionally make sure that uh, the prominent person is on the distorted side of the shot, so they look larger than anybody else in the middle of the shot. So it's I don't know if that's an official technique that they use, but I'm sure it is because I've just seen too many examples of it. Um, but okay, what was I talking about? That E500 thing, right? Let me just check the chat real quick. To all, anybody shot a GX9, I found it to be underexposing one stop. Wow. No, I've never shot the GX9. Which reminds me, Maddie's no longer a Lumix ambassador by choice. And Ed bought an OM10. Oh, interesting. OM10 is an awesome film camera from Olympus. And they're not as old as the OM1s and stuff, so you might find one cheap and in excellent condition. And Stephen Long says, I like the photo walk at the truck graveyard with the 51.8, so decided to go out with it. Yeah, it's a fun lens. I'm going to do more photo walks with some of my other quote unquote vintage lenses. Like I have, like I was talking about, I have this 50 millimeter mounted or 105 millimeter Nikon. This is the famous lens. I forget the photographer's name, Curry or something, that took the Afghan girl photo. Supposedly this was the lens that he used. And I'm debating if I should take this out with my S5, which is a full frame camera, because I have an adapter for that, or go out with my EM1 III. I guess ultimately I can do both, right? But which one do I do first? So I took, 105 millimeters, doing a photo walk with this. I mean, it was hard enough with a 50 millimeter and a 75. Those were tough, man. To go with this, because this has like almost a 2 meter close focusing distance. I mean, you have to be pretty far away before you get any focus at all. And then to actually frame anything, you have to stand really far out. So, it's going to be hard. But, that's at the same time, it's very rewarding to challenge yourself and then get a few good shots from something you would never do if you had a zoom lens, right? Um, and Mike's asking, why did Maddie jump ship? Well, from what I gathered from the video, uh, he just wanted a little more flexibility to do to work with different brands of cameras. and do more collaborations for workshops, right? So if you watch his video, he'll explain it, but that's the impression I get. So by collaboration, meaning he wants to do workshops, but um, he wouldn't be able to collaborate with someone that doesn't shoot Lumix. And Lumix is a very, very small market, uh, and even smaller in Finland, right? I mean, Finland's a small market, then Lumix in itself is a very small market. So you multiply those together, he's probably having trouble finding other Lumix users to even come be in the workshop, let alone trying to collaborate with maybe another photographer. That's the gist of it. And, you know, doing workshops is definitely a productive way to make some money as a photographer. I mean, it's crossed my mind a couple times, but we'll see. Until everything's kind of settled down, I think we'll have to put that idea on hold. Roberto's asking if manual focus on vintage is okay. It depends on the lens. The Olympus OM lenses are excellent for manual focusing. You know, and this is a Nikon. Nikon AI lenses are really good, very smooth. You know, so you know I can quickly focus with this thing, and I'm like, and I'm there, right? Same thing with the Olympus. So it's, and you know, you throw on focus peaking and magnify for very critical fine focusing, you can get there. So for the most part, the critical focusing is hard. You know, if you know, like if you're trying to nail focus on somebody's eyelashes, right? You're not going to just get it unless you're really good, you know, already. It's not, certainly I can't do that, but if I'm just shooting a scene on a photo walk, uh, yeah, I can get there 99%. So it's not hard. You get used to it. And good morning, Errol. And let's see. You don't trust your eyes, you need peaking. You can't trust peaking either, to be honest, for critical focusing. It's a very granular, not granular, but it's a very coarse way to get there. To get critical focus, you have to magnify and do it. Uh, peaking will get you there, but it's not that precise. And you know, depending on the lens, if it's a very sharp lens, you'll be fine. If it's kind of a soft lens, like you're shooting a 50 millimeter f1.4 Nikon, that thing is super soft, wide open at f1.4. You won't see any peaking dots because peaking works on contrast, and that lens is so soft, wide open. You know, you're not going to be able to use peaking anyway. And be honest, even when you punch in a magnify, it's so soft you can't tell. At least my copy. I was thinking about going out with the 50. Now for portrait stuff, you know, you want to soften someone's skin and still have kind of focus. Yeah, it's great, but man, I would not use it for anything like product photography because they would just be too soft. Yes, Jimmy Chang. I'm sure he does. I haven't seen it, but yeah, definitely check out Jimmy Chang's video on that. I mean, I have some older ones for the M10 Mark II, but I'm sure Jimmy's is better. Let's see. I was going to talk about this real quick. So this is we can see October 2020. I can show you the E500 side by side with the EM5 Mark III. This was my most popular image. Where is it? It's not even here. Here, this one and this one. Let me see. No. Yeah, that one. This one. This one. So if I were to ask you which camera shot which image, it could be pretty hard to tell. Uh, which one is the E500? Which one is the M5 Mark III? And you know, just take a guess in your own mind, right? What you think it might be, or if you want to put it in a chat section, and then I'll go ahead and reveal it in a second. And John Truman says, hi, in Lightroom, when you upload images, would you advise copy or copy as DNG and why? When I upload images, I'm not sure what your question is, to be honest. I mean, I avoid DNG for the most part because it strips away some of the proprietary information from the raw file that doesn't affect image quality, but does affect, looking at any kind of additional data that might be unique to your camera. So, and I do look at those things, like particularly on the Pen F, where it tells me the color information on the color wheel or the specific settings that I used for the Olympus camera. So if I was going to do anything uploading, I avoid DNG altogether. Uploading or I assume you mean upload to a website. If you're talking about uploading onto your computer, I do straight copy. I don't do copy as DNG because, and that's why I'm having trouble answering your question, because I never do it. I always import the images into my Lightroom straight as JPEGs and RAWs, .orf files, because again, when you convert to DNG, that a lot of the data, not a lot, I don't know how much, but some of the data gets stripped out that, like I said, is not relevant to image quality, but is relevant to camera settings. Because if you were to look at a DNG file in Olympus Workspace, or look at the EXIF data, and whatever your EXIF data viewer is, you're going to be missing a lot of information. So Michael, it's going E500 on the right. Okay. Left is the EM3. Oh, it's an EM5 Mark III. But I know what you mean. And oh yeah, David Thorpe. David Thorpe is, I don't know, I read something on MU43 forum. They said he's ill, but in that video, he didn't say he was ill, I don't think, unless I missed that part. But that, whatever the reason, it's very, very sad that he's ending his channel. Because his channel has always been a great resource and also very enjoyable to watch. It's just a pleasure to watch his videos. Gonna get me all choked up here talking about it, but yeah, it's breaking my heart to see him end his channel for whatever the reason may be. If it's because of an illness or something else, that's even sadder. But either way, it's very sad. So if you go to that video, go to David Thorpe's channel, it'll be his last video, and you can leave a comment to him and his family. Um, you know, oh, moment of silence. I just feel so sad about that. He was one of the first channels that I started watching when I got into Micro Four Thirds, and I didn't watch anything before I bought a Micro Four Thirds camera about Micro Four Thirds. But then after I bought an EM10, I I started YouTubing to see what I could learn about the camera, and he was one of the few channels that even bothered with Micro Four Thirds, even back then when Olympus was kind of at its prime, right? And yeah, he's always been, yeah, he's been a great channel, great contribution to photography. And I hope that his videos live on, on YouTube forever. That's all I can say. Yeah, David said he had a long-term illness. Yeah, I don't know what. Oh, they think he may have passed. Oh, that's sad. Yeah, well, bummer. I mean, I remember another YouTube channel where I had learned from Peter Gregg that he committed suicide, right? The Art of Photography or Photography Art. I forget the name of his channel now. But he was another great YouTube channel, really doing the best he can, sharing what he knows about photography, answering questions. And for whatever reason, he ended his own life. And it's always sad. Um, but yeah, all right. I don't want to get into talking about these things. I get all choked up thinking about it. Let's talk about these pictures here. I'm gonna click the tab button and oops, that's not the tab button, the information button, and let's reveal which one was which. So we have the E500 there on the left and the M5 Mark III on the right. And let me just punch in, because if I punch in, then it'll be more obvious because the M5 Mark III has 20 megapixels versus uh, 8 megapixels, right? So even when I punch in, it's pretty close, right? I forget what my focus point was because that's all blurry back there. Must have been 1/3 of the way in the frame, about right here. But even when I punch in, how much different is 20 versus 8 megapixels on an image like this? And the reason I hesitated to do like a side by side, I can show you another side by side. Let's do this one. This one has a little more detail in it. Oh, this is a nice picture. This one and this one. So now I have the M5 Mark III on the left, right? And they're really close. I mean, these are not the straight out of cameras. These have the exact same processing applied. I synced the processing that I did on both. But what lens was I using? So I was using the 12 to 32 at f5.6 and then the 14 to 54 too. So both very good lenses, right? But yeah, look at the size of the tree here on the left versus here. So yeah, there's 20 megapixels of detail here versus 8. And that's where the M5 Mark III will always win. But what's interesting is I notice it's a little brighter right in here on these leaves versus over here. And the images are just ever so slightly warmer on the E500. But yeah, so I don't know. My challenge with this video or my challenge with making a video comparing the images side by side is, the lighting that day was very foggy and dim. And, any camera's going to struggle with that kind of lighting. And it doesn't reflect, so the details are going to be mushy because of the fog. And there's not a lot of dynamic range in the scene. I mean, everything is pretty much middle gray. And the only differences you're going to see are in color, right, if any. So it's not an ideal video to do a side-by-side comparison, or not, they're not ideal images to do side-by-sides with the modern camera and this old camera. And then ultimately, I don't know, I'd have to think of a message to why I'm making such a video, right? The message obviously being, you don't need a new camera to take great pictures. So, and the subset message would be, that really camera technology hasn't changed that much in the last 10 or 15 years. I mean, things have gotten better in terms of performance, but ultimate image quality, there's there's just not that much difference. And certainly it makes no difference in your photography with respect to taking a good image, right? One that, you know, we get a lot of likes on Instagram, so to speak. Um, but I've been watching this guy. Well, I've watched like two videos, maybe three from him. I saw one this morning where he said, you know, just take pictures for yourself. You know, don't worry about other people. It's kind of the gist of the video. And that makes a lot of sense, right? Um, I think his channel is called The Photographic Eye, where he just talks about photography and not really about gear. I think that's his mantra is, you know, just ideas, no gear. It's a great channel. He does a really good job. He's very articulate. And even though it's mostly just talking head videos, you know, and then he overlays some images for demonstration, he's so articulate at expressing his message. It's just enjoyable to watch. So if you get a chance, check out his channel and um, watch a few videos. And if you're not hooked after just a couple of videos, then he's not for you. But I got kind of hooked on him after one video when he was talking about another photographer's work. And when I get a chance, I don't watch his channel for like I'm not committed to watching his channel every day, obviously. But you know, he gets a little time out of my day every now and then to watch one of his videos. He gets 10 minutes a few times a week going forward. Uh, all right. And oh, okay. Yeah, John. When you import, I guess I got mine set up on default somehow. I got to swap screens. I'm very confused here. You know, once you kind of get in the habit of doing things a certain way, it's hard to. Yeah, just import without DNG. Don't convert it. Long story short. And then, yeah, here's a little more validation for the photographic eye. Yeah, he has a great channel. And yeah, Thomas is back talking about um, David Thorpe. And don't tell your wife about the new camera, Errol. Okay, mom's the word. That's the good thing about being single. You don't have to be accountable to anybody. Gosh, I remember those days. I was married many moons ago. Uh, a friend and I have compared the same shot taken with Portra 160 and a digital JPEG. Yes, actually, I have a video with my Pen F shooting Portra 160 side by side with my Pen F. I believe it was the Pen F. And I got it pretty close, I think. I can't remember what episode that is, but I have done that. I was thinking about doing it again, uh, you know, just for fun, side by side. But last year or the year before, I was doing a lot of film camera side by side with my digital camera, usually the Pen F, and comparing, you know, the negatives versus the digital. And it was fun. Oops, sorry. What's this? Hi Rob. Any experience of Duo Deep Prime? Um, no, I mean, I downloaded the trial this weekend, and I'm gonna, and I did a couple images real quick, um, and they were good. Basically, it's denoising your image without losing any detail, right? And then I saw a comparison of the Topaz version versus the Deep Prime version by, I forget his name. He's another really good channel, and I can't remember his name. Thomas Morganti or something. Uh, but anyway, um, the they were very close. The Topaz version tended to denoise a little better, but then it lost detail, which makes sense. And the Deep Prime had a little more noise, but had more detail. No big surprise. But then tweaking the sliders after you've done the processing got them so close where both of them had the same amount of detail, the same amount of noise reduction. Uh, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with it some more, cherry pick some images that I think illustrate the strengths and weaknesses of the Deep Prime, and try and do a video on it. I know Peter's done one, and Jimmy has done one. Maddie just did one. So so I'm Johnny come lately, right? I'm kind of late to the game as always. Uh, so they've all done good videos on them, but uh, they didn't answer the questions. They have their own way of presenting the thing, and I have mine. So I'm going to do my presentation or video on it maybe next week when I get some time to mess with it. I and I did download Topaz version, but I haven't tried it yet. So I got a 30-day free trial, and I'm going to give it a try. Uh, my initial impression is I'm pretty impressed, but not so much so that I'm ready to drop $100 or whatever they cost for the kind of work that I do, or the kind of photography that I have and the tolerances I have for noise and loss of detail. I'm not I'm not worried about noise and loss of detail so much as I am everything else, the composition, the lighting, everything else about photography other than digital noise, right? So, and that's it's a very subjective, uh, very subjective opinion, or what's the word I'm looking for? But basically, just because I'm very lax with my noise and detail levels doesn't mean you have to be, right? You might want less noise and more detail, and that $100 is well worth it, right? Money well spent. But I just don't worry about it too much. But I'm gonna see maybe this week, and we'll see. So stay tuned for that. Um, Thank you, Thomas. Wow, I appreciate that. um, Man, I tell you that the donations and the generosity you guys have had has been just amazing. And what I learned recently, and honestly, I make more off the $10 donations than I do off the YouTube videos. Like if I do a photo walk, man, if I make $5 on that video, it's like amazing. The live streams, forget it. $5, man, that would be like a gold rush or something. Because somebody left a comment on my thing here. Um, Maybe I can address it here. He's in Australia. But he left this comment, right? About you spend a good deal of time on these programs. Do you find you have sufficient views uh, for an unpaid time and effort you put in? And then he goes on about Australia and has a question about Adobe. But I'm going to reply to this comment But yeah, I do this mainly because I enjoy it and it helps me become a better photographer, and hopefully I can help others at the same time. If trust me, you can't really make a living doing this, at least not at the level I'm at, certainly. Maybe once you get up to 100,000 subscribers, and I don't know because I'm not there in this particular niche, if you can really make a living just off of this. Um, so that's why all of us that you see online at this level, we have a normal day job normally, or we do other things in our business and are in our lives that generate income. And, this is something that as a business, we do want to pursue and supplement our income using YouTube, but it's not the income source, right? Uh, but that said, I also discovered that I didn't realize you had to have a PayPal account to use this link over here that I have for. Oh, I don't have the PayPal link there. I had to buy me a coffee. And I didn't know some people in other countries couldn't use the buy me a coffee. There's like all kinds of ways because I get emails from people saying, how can I donate? I can't do it through the buy me a coffee or through the PayPal because I need a PayPal account. So I just found out this. I just figured that out this morning. So because the donations and anything you guys do to help me out is so appreciated. Because right now it's my only source of income since I haven't had any photo jobs in a while. But I'm gonna create a new link that will allow you to donate via PayPal without having to have a PayPal account, and hopefully that'll allow a lot of you to give me more money. I hate to put it that way, but uh, many of you are so generous, right? You're very generous and very appreciative, and but you don't have a PayPal account and you don't want one, and I understand that. We have our information out there already in 100 different places. Why add one more PayPal account? And I get it. Not everybody's going to join the Flickr group that I created because why add another place that you have to sign into and do things, right? But so I'll figure something out um, so that it'll give you guys more opportunity to support the channel and support what I do here because it makes a big difference, really. Maybe I can get a couple of more things I want to get. Like I want to get this. They have this HDMI recorder that I can just put on top of the camera and plug in, so you guys can see the screen directly. The way I do it now is I either have to attach a camera behind this, which is very awkward, or I have to just push record and then like I've been doing in my vlogs, you can see what I'm seeing. The only problem with doing it that way is that the framing is 16 by 9. So you're not seeing exactly what I'm trying to frame, and I'm not seeing exactly what I want to frame because a lot of times I'll push the record button, you guys are seeing what I see, but then when I turn the record button off, I go back to a 4:3 aspect ratio, and then I have to compose the picture differently than what I saw when I was doing the excuse me, the recording. So there's a little bit of continuity problem there for my brain to switch from 16 by 9 to 4:3. So a little HDMI recorder device would be very handy. I mean, I have one, a larger one, but not something I can just pop on top of the camera and go out and vlog with. Because I think it's really helpful, at least from the feedback, that it's very helpful that you guys see exactly what I'm seeing. I think out loud my thought process when I'm composing the image, and I gotta move this camera. It's distracting me. You guys may have noticed I'm not looking at you directly like I am now. I've been looking over because I got two cameras in front of me, and this one is this one is not on. I gotta move it. See how my brain is? I get very distracted. Now I gotta tell you something else really funny. for about 15 minutes before the live stream started, I was looking for that camera. I could not find it. I was like, where is my freaking EM5 Mark III? Where is it? I went in living room, bedroom, outside. I went everywhere looking for that thing. And then I said, I give up. I can't find it. So I started the stream 10 minutes late because I was partially because I was looking for that freaking camera. Because when I start looking for something, I can't stop. I got to find it. Everything has a place. Where is it? But and now, just now, I realized I've been staring at the thing. It's been right under my nose for the past, what time is it? For over an hour now. I've been looking at it, wondering in the back of my head, where's my effing EM5 Mark III? And I've been looking at it for an hour, right in front of me. Okay. uh, let me catch up on the chat here because I've been jibber jabbering. And Terry says, great to hear you have a video on the way, DxO Prime. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. And Rod says, when I hit the airwaves, so you're ready to hit the hay. Yeah, I know, Rod. I'm sorry. And yes, Plato says he donates via PayPal. I keep more. That's true. And Patreon, I like I said, I want to keep creating different accounts, like create a Patreon account. It's very I got PayPal. That's more than enough, really. I think, well, I'm gonna work on it. I'll work on it because I don't want to stop anybody from throwing a donation in if I can help it. I want to make that path of least resistance, right? Um, but I do appreciate Plato and John Truman. They've been very generous with their donations as well as many of you have. Um, it does help me out a lot, and I appreciate it. So, but that's enough about that. Let's see what else can we talk about here. Rod Meta says. Why is this chat? I think this is an interesting. Agreed, folks. DxO Prime is almost like upgrading to a new sensor. Yeah. What'll be interesting is oh, hi David, how are you? We need to go out again. I think the weather will be nicer this week. Um, David lives nearby me, and he sent in you sent in that picture yesterday, shot on film, color film for me to edit. It's a great picture, but I always feel bad when I'm editing film. Like it feels like if you're post processing a film shot, it just is not right. It's always maybe I can do a crop or some composition, but after I was thinking about it this morning or last night, I was thinking it's just not right to post process film images. You should take them pretty much straight out of camera, other than some exposure adjustments or cropping. Pushing shadows and highlights and making color adjustments, white balance attempt adjustments, hue, tint, all of that stuff is, I think, is just not right. I think film should be enjoyed for exactly what it is, an organic process, and whatever you get straight off the negative, like I said, except for exposure issues, because when you convert to digital, there's always exposure adjustments being made. But it's linear, right? It's not like you're pushing highlights and shadows during that import process, or you shouldn't be. But anyhow, um, but it was cool to see. I do want to go to that spot, maybe walk that entire trail, Mount Vernon Trail. Um, it'll be good exercise for me and Ellie. And let's see. Oh, Andy, oh my goodness, it has been a while. Wow. I don't think I've seen you since last year, even. You may have been on this year, but it's been a while. How you doing? So glad I finally got to tune in to one of your lives. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well, thank you. Um, I appreciate that, but it is good to see you again, Andy. Huh. It has been a long time. And Roberto says some people use Patreon thing after YouTube ruined the algorithm. Yeah, I don't know. Because I've never run my channel chasing the algorithm, right? I just post whatever I can and I try to make it as clear as I can without making it look like clickbait or, hyping the channel with just stuff that, because if I wanted to chase the algorithm, I would be full on gear reviews, rumors, everything else. And that those get clicks because a lot of people when they go on YouTube, they don't think about a community. They don't think about, you know, um, at least when it comes to photography, right? They're coming to YouTube to see what camera to buy next, what lens to buy next, and then maybe watching some quick tips and tricks. And I'm saying that mainly because of the traffic. When I do a gear review or talk about cameras or bodies, yeah, views spike, subscribers spike. And then when I do a photo walk, it's like -1. I might lose a couple of subscribers, and I'll make only a few dollars on those walks. Uh, versus a gear review, I might pick up 20, 30 subscribers. I'll make $20, $25 on the video, and voila, right? That's a viable business plan. And so that if my goal were to chase the algorithm to make money, this would be a very, very, very different channel. Uh, you wouldn't recognize it, right? And I would probably fail miserably because I don't have the personality for gear reviews and entertainment and creativity and all of that stuff, you know? Um, I mean, the best example really is if you want to see a channel that chases the algorithm, uh, for the most part at this point, in my opinion, is Tony and Chelsea, right? They sprinkle their channel now with some tips and tricks and stuff that more stuff I would be interested in sprinkled here and there recently, but for the most part, yeah, it's a rumor, gear review, likes and dislikes about gear, things like that. Uh, and I guarantee, I guarantee I would stop watching his channel 100% if it wasn't for Chelsea. I really like Chelsea, so if you ever dump Tony, call me. We'll do a collaboration. But um, and I like Frono's photo. I like his photo news fix now. I got started with him with Nikon, shooting Nikon and learning a lot of things from him. And he still does some tutorials and he's really an incredible person. And he I think he's an incredible photographer, an incredible person, but he has a very loud personality. And he runs his YouTube channel as a business, right? So his channel is is chasing the algorithm, running it as a business, as he should. But he has the personality, that big personality, that it works for him, and he can grow, million subscribers, right? And he can do a gear review, talk about news and rumors and all of that because it's very entertaining, has very high production quality, and even though I would say he talks about 99% of stuff I could care less about. I still watch it because I just find him entertaining. Just like Camera Conspiracies, right? Casey over there is growing leaps and bounds. He's another channel that I just watch for entertainment value in the sense that I enjoy watching them. I like their personality. And even though there's 99%, he's talking about, well, less than 99. He's probably about 80% of the stuff he talks about I don't care about. Another 20% I do take an interest of his opinion. But it's mostly about entertainment. And he'll admit that himself, right? That he's a comedy channel, not a rumor photography channel. He's really entertainment. Okay. Uh, but channels like Photographic Eye, Simon Baxter, Timon Heaton, you know, the other Simon, I can't remember his name. There's a lot of channels out there that I take a lot more interest in watching because they walk through their process. Nick Carver, he shoots film, right? But I love his channel because I love his thought process and everything he does to prepare to take a picture, right? Because he puts so much thought into it. Uh, that's kind of where I am at in terms of YouTube and watching stuff on YouTube, other than, fan-based Star Trek movies. uh, those have been really fun to watch, even though some of them are just awful. It's just kind of fun to watch other Star Trek fans trying to make a video. Okay. Um, Let me see what I'm missing here. Thomas, somebody's saying repeat your message. So what was your first one? Let me see if I can find it. I can't find it. Arrow Unit sent me two Mikey lenses. Oh yeah, the 5mm 50. That's awesome. He suggested in lieu of payment I contribute to charity. One of my favorites would be Europe. Yes, thank you very much, Thomas. I appreciate that. And let's see. I think Errol's here. I thought I saw him here. If you're still here, how you doing? Thank you for supporting the community here by donating your equipment. And I requested actually, I sent an email out to Errol thanking him for uh, providing, this stuff to anyone who would ask. All you have to do is ask him, and he'll give you whatever he's got. Not whatever, but he'll give you stuff he's not using anymore. And it's very, very generous. You don't find people like that very often. So I reached out to him to thank him for that. But also, if there's anything else that you couldn't give away, just send it to me, and I know people that can use it. He's got some oddball stuff like some gear heads or ball heads that um, nobody's taking. And I said, well, I can take it. I know some people. I could certainly use one of the nodal things he talked about, and then I know some people that would be interested in the ball heads. Um, and then whatever else there is, because I belong to the local photo club here, and I can just hand it out to whoever's interested. So I'll talk to David about that later, but when it comes in, if it does. But either way, thank you, Errol, for giving stuff you don't use anymore away. That's very generous. Um, oh, so Andy, you've been really busy living vicariously through. Yeah. Well, I'm glad. Hopefully, you caught some of my photo walks lately. That's pretty much like just being right over my shoulder the whole time. Um, what is this? If you wanted to chase the algorithm, you'd have to get piercings. Wear a bikini. Oh my God. uh, one of the things I'd like to do is really, when I do the vlogging, vlog with other people with me, other photographers, and have some interaction, right? Uh, because it's always more interesting with more people. Like Tony has Chelsea. I don't have anybody. When I go out, Every now and then I'll go on photo walks with somebody from the photo club, but I'm always a little uneasy about saying, do you want to be in the vlog with me? Because you don't know where people are, right? They don't want to be on YouTube, right? So I don't ask generally. But like the vlog that I did at the one park, there were a couple of photography club members kind of in the background. You could just barely make out that they were talking to me, but you could hear me clearly talking to them. And to me, that was just so natural and much easier on the ears when you're actually talking to somebody live, rather than I'm sitting there thinking out loud, but I have to think cohesively and articulately so that when I create the YouTube video, when I'm expressing my thoughts, I have to be very articulate and clear. It's not as fluid. It's a little bit more processed kind of speech. Whereas, when you're just talking to somebody, it's very natural and much more relaxed. So that's one thing I've always wanted to kind of get more people involved in my channel. But anyhow, this is why you're a rock star, period. I hate the commercialism and you're real. Oh, thank you. Love camera conspiracy. Seems to like Olympus, which is nice. Yes, he does. He didn't like the M5 Mark III, but he did like the M1 Mark III. I mean, 3 years ago, before he had any presence on his photography channel, he had a pretty decent vegetable police channel. And that's how I found him, actually, because I was kind of into health and stuff. I still am, but I'm a couch potato health nut. Meaning I watch all the healthy things on YouTube and stuff, but I'm sitting on the couch eating chips. But anyway, I sent him suggestions, which camera, which lens. And believe it or not, at this point in time, he now is, well, I haven't been watching him lately, but he ultimately ended up with the same kit that I do, EM1 Mark III with a 12mm f2. I just happen to use the M5 Mark III with a 12mm f2 when I do vlogging. If I want to do vlogging with my camera, lately I've been kind of going with this. This is a stupid 360 camera that, oh God, I'm still working out the kinks, but the convenience of just having like the GoPro that Maddie just bought, the convenience of vlogging with this versus this, it's huge. It's a huge difference in convenience. Because I can set this up for about, I mean, 1,000 grams, right? 1 kilo, including the tripod, and I'm good. Versus, you set up your EM5 Mark III with a lens, and this is more durable. If I drop it, I'm not going to bust it right away. There's so many advantages to this. I've been thinking about it, about switching to this completely, because I used to vlog with the M5 Mark III a lot, and before that the Pen PL8. But that's like $1,000, maybe more. If it's the M5, it's like $1,500 of gear sitting on a $100 tripod. And I can't tell you how many times I've dropped my Pen PL8. So I was very careful with my EM5 when vlogging. But something like this doesn't carry any weight, doesn't cost nearly as much. This one is modular, so I can replace, if I break the lens, I can replace the lens or the camera part of it, and not the computer side, monitor side. Anyway, there's a lot of advantage to that. I have been using the DJI Pocket Osmo with the gimbal, because there's a lot of shots that you can get with a gimbal that you can't do with something like this. Gimbal will eliminate any kind of skewing errors or keystoning problems. Because when I point this camera down, suddenly everything is keystoned, right? Out of proportion. But this is more durable. right? But there's ups and downsides to different types of ways to record things. So I don't know. Vlogging is I do it because it's challenging. I'm like, how can I make this work? I got to make this work. Uh, sometimes you just do things because it's challenging, not because it makes any sense. Because what would make the most sense is to continue using the M5 Mark III with a decent mic, wireless mic, and sturdier tripod and go around. And then I got the best image quality, I got the best sound, I got, all of that. But anyhow, uh, I was answering a couple of questions on the Prime and my internet service kept, that's weird. I don't know why that would be. Um, yeah, doing a vlog, yeah, if they were willing. I probably couldn't get the whole club to agree to that, but just a couple other members might be kind of fun. But that just seems inappropriate. Like I've been going on this photo walks with the club for almost a year now, and I never vlog. I've only done the last couple of times I went out with them that I vlogged separately after the event was over. But I don't know, it just doesn't feel appropriate, but maybe. And then Errol says, what I was saying was I was a beta tester for DxO Optics for their photo program, and a lot of input went into the D Prime, and it's awesome. Good. The user interface, I think is what you mean. IUS. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. And David says, how about an architectural photography workshop? I'd sign up for that. Really? I would be surprised I could teach you anything, David, but I could do one not in DC, maybe Alexandria. Although Alexandria has been a little bit scary lately. But yeah, I could do one in Old Town or something. There's plenty of buildings there to practice on. Um, that's an interesting idea though. And I'll fly over to Maryland when the borders open. Can I bring my dog? Of course. Problem is you wouldn't be able to bring Jerry in company with Ellie. They would fight. Meaning Ellie's a bit she loves dogs when we're at the dog park, but at the house, if my mom brings her dog over, man, they fight. And I gotta deal with Ellie. She's an angel around me, but I'm just so unpredictable outside of the house. Because she's great on photo walks usually, but she can be a pain sometimes. I can't tell you how many clips I had to edit out because she's just going out of her mind, either chasing a squirrel or barking at somebody on their bicycle, or wants to play with another dog. She loves dogs. She wants to play with them, but then she gets irritated very quickly. Like she wants to play and they'll play for a few minutes and then she loses her mind and wants to kill them. I don't get it. She has a very short temper with other dogs. She's something. But I love Roberto. You should check, everyone, if you haven't done so already, check out Roberto Di Donato's channel. He does great photo walks and they're a lot of fun to watch, and he has a really good sense of humor. Um, yeah, Jerry and Ellie will get along like a house on fire, right? What's this? I'm just noobing with my EM1. As I said, I love it even with what vids say about its limitations. Yeah, it's a great camera. And I've been saying this more lately is, your camera is not your limitation, right? It's always the photographer. I mean, everybody says that. It's the photographer, not the gear. But oh, here's some other suggestions here. Stefan Tramelfigure, sometimes in German. Oh, yeah, I've seen his channel, I think. But I only saw the German ones. I never saw any English, so I didn't watch more than like 30 seconds of one. But I'll have to look at him again. Um, the Macroverse. How you doing? You're listening while you're cooking dinner. Awesome. Macroverse has a Facebook page, I think called the Macroverse, where he posts photos using his macro lenses and also his 100 to 400. So check that out. And Rod says, a few months ago, I compared the EM5 Mark II with the S5 and then wish I hadn't. The DxO came along and now I'm happy with the EM5 Mark II. At least for macro and normal light photography, light and nice. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have the S5, you have the S5. We know what it can do. It's amazing in low light, right? I mean, I can crank that thing up to 100 or 200,000 ISO and take a picture of Ellie while she's sleeping at night in her bed. I mean, without turning the lights on. I mean, I've done it. It's grainy, right? It's 100,000 ISO or whatever. But yeah, no chance of doing that with my EM5 or EM1s. No chance. Um, so, cameras have their limitations. Whether it's an S5, it has limitations just as much as the M1 Mark II or Mark III does, just in different ways, right? Uh, but not everybody talks about the limitations of the S5, right? Like, the most obvious one is depth of field. In landscape photography, you want a wide depth of field, but you have to use slower shutter speeds, relatively speaking, to the Micro Four Thirds. And yeah, you can do ISO equivalency, saying, oh, well, if I shoot at ISO 800, it's no different than shooting at ISO 200, blah, blah, blah. But, ultimately, uh, if you take somebody that doesn't know anything about anything and they take the two cameras out, they're not going to understand why one camera acts this way and the other camera acts that way. And that's something DeMorkin, I don't think I saw DeMorkin today. That's something DeMorkin talked about is, and a lot of people have, about the camera market in general. How are they going to stay competitive or uh, keep selling cameras to new buyers? Because right now the trend is selling to high-end professional type people. And I got to turn off this thing. I can't believe I still have to use a space heater in May. I got my coat on. I was gonna wear a hat, but I said, well, nah, that looks weird on green screen. What was I talking about? Yeah, and the cell phone market's taking, because I think in the forum, he posted a link in the forum, or part of an article in the forum about his thoughts on uh, selling cameras, right, to new markets or new customers. And I think one of the things was ease of use, right? Being able to share pictures instantly like you can on a phone. And I don't know if that really is the answer, right? Being able to, if I take a picture on my camera, do I really want to share it right away, right? On Instagram or wherever, on social media? Um, I can say 99.999 times I never want to share something straight out of camera on Instagram. Um, and even so, when you're going out with your friends and want to take social type pictures, parties, events and stuff, you just want to use your phone and click, right? You don't want to bring a camera, even if it had the same capability to share instantly, right? I don't see that as a personally, I don't see that as a way for camera manufacturers to gain market share just because I take a picture with this and I can share it instantly now. I don't see people buying a camera like this for that. People buy cameras because they want to take better pictures, not because they want to be able to share better pictures instantly, right? Their focus is different. People that buy cameras, the focus is different. They want to take better pictures than they can with their phone because they have an interest in photography or something, right? Um, Now, people that just want to take better pictures with their phone, they just buy the next model when it comes out. Oh, look at this phone. It has two cameras. Look at this phone. It has three cameras on the back or three lenses. Look at this phone. It has 12 camera lenses on the back of it. I think a Nokia had like a bunch of lenses on it. That's a whole different market in my mind than people shopping for a camera. Phones have taken away the old days of the point and shoot cameras. Now the point and shoot is basically your phone. And to some extent, probably the fact that there's no entry point now in the point and shoot market for camera manufacturers. I really doubt people that bought point and shoot cameras eventually upgraded to, DSLRs or mirrorless cameras, um, on the whole. Probably most people bought a point and shoot camera and that's all they ever bought. The people that upgrade from a point and shoot camera or a cell phone in this case to a regular camera in my mind is because they want to take better pictures, right? Not because they want to social media their images everywhere. Just my thoughts. So to me, the key to better camera sales, and I said this before, is after the sale support service type things, right? Teaching people how to use these cameras after they buy it. Because too many times people buy a nice camera, whether it's an EM10 or an EM1 or an S5, they never learn how to use it because they have no idea what aperture, shutter speed. They don't know why does the camera have so many buttons on it. Why would somebody ever use rear curtain sync, right? What is that feature? It makes no sense to them at all, right? Why do I want to bracket shots? Why do I want to, adjust the white balance? All these, never mind the vocabulary involved with getting in with a camera. There's a lot of overhead to a new user of a camera that camera manufacturers are not supporting, and that's why their camera sales never grow from, say, an entry-level EM10 to an EM1. Um, and in my opinion, I don't think the problem is because cameras are not phones, and I know that's what a lot of my peers have been preaching, that being able to share your photos right away from your camera to your social media is a big hindrance to people buying these things. And I would argue that it's not. Um, I don't know. What do you guys think? I should do a whole video on that. I'll get like 1 million views. But I can just say it here in the live stream and same thing, right? Let me scroll up and catch some Ed's 25 millimeter Mikey's got issues. Thomas says the Mikey no click f-stop ring, have to get used to that. Yeah. Yeah, the Mikey lenses are pretty cool though. David Thorpe of all people did reviews, I think, of the 25 and 35. And Rod says, I bought the S5 for the lack of banding on a non-PDAF sensor. Even though the internet is outraged, still I am drawn to MFT when I walk around in the bush. So much fun. Yeah. Like I said, the advantages of MFT will always be the advantages of MFT. Nobody, and that's what needs to be promoted. But Jimmy did an interesting video about the 8K 33 megapixel sensor that came out. Might go into a future Olympus camera. Should check that out. It was kind of interesting. Yeah, that's another thing is, yeah, banding is a problem with PDAF, right? From what I understand, uh, on some cameras, it comes up, it shows up sometimes, which is a problem for video, especially low light type video, right? Even low light photography, though not as much. And Rob would be a great ambassador here. There's an opening over at Panasonic. Uh, I don't know if I'd want to. No, nobody's ever asked me, but I don't know if I would accept even if they asked. I guess somebody would have to ask me to be an ambassador of something before I can truly answer that question. Because how many times do you see people say, absolutely not, I would never do this, or absolutely yes, I will do this. And then when the opportunity presents itself, they get all indecisive, you know? So it's hard to say what would happen if I get offered something like a title. Because that ultimately that's all it is a title and then some advantages to early access to gear, right? And then plus borrowing gear and things like that. I guess there's a lot of perks to being or having a title or relationship, a more formal relationship with a camera company or any company. Um, but there's, it kind of boxes you in too, right? There's always the downside or the negatives. No, I don't want to call them negatives, but there's pluses and minuses to whenever you accept any kind of responsibility, you have to be committed to that. And it's just not my personality to be committed to something or somebody. I don't want somebody relying on me or having expectations of me. I always do the best I can when I can, but I do not want to have that obligation to do the best I can when I can, right? It's different. Being obligated to do the best you can versus just doing the best you can is very different. I guess that's sort of the independent, side of me where I just can't, I have a hard time committing to things. It's probably why I'm still single, on another topic. Uh, okay, that's that. Yeah, that's right. Compared to digital cameras, film cameras were a lot simpler, right? Um, and that's true. I mean, especially with the program when they started doing aperture priority on film cameras, it got really easy from that point. But you're still limited to just focus and click, not like digital cameras that have so many features of just taking a picture. I mean, film cameras are very complicated or very challenging, I should say, for different things. Like flash photography was challenging using film because you couldn't do test shots and things. You'd have to use challenging and or expensive doing film professionally. As a point and shoot guy, I just take my Trip 35 or my old Pen F film camera, or any of my old film cameras. Um, no big deal. But professionally speaking, film was very challenging. I would imagine. I never shot film professionally, but I would imagine it's a lot more challenging and expensive. And Errol makes a good point here. Instead of looking at your computer screens by printing your photographs, try printing your photographs and hanging them on your walls. That's a real photographer. Absolutely. Um, I have two, four, five. I have 5 photos hanging in my bedroom. I got a few more in the hallway, and I got them scattered all over my living room. And then I got photo albums I keep, of course. Actually, I was looking at it yesterday. I took it out to the living room. I keep photo albums. I love printing. I don't print every day, every photo walk, but I print occasionally. Every couple of weeks, I'll sit down and say, I'd like to print some of these and put them in my photo album. And then occasionally I'll find one that says, this might look good as a big print. I've yet to do that. When I had my large printer, I printed a few, but yeah, definitely printing is another side of photography that's I think a lot of people are missing out on and should try. And Roberto says, I reckon 80% of everyone here kept their Olympus or bought one because of I wouldn't say 80%. I'm sure I would say like maybe 20% because I do get comments all the time about, I've had this camera for a couple of years, it's been collecting dust, but thanks to your channel, or I would have never that's the most common comment I get in reference to what Roberto was saying is I've never used this camera because it was too complicated or whatever. The second most common comment was, you know, uh, I learned so much from your channel. Thanks. I'm really into Olympus now, all of that. But probably I would say the other 80% of the people here are already very experienced photographers and just come to my channel to learn how to push some of the buttons or some of the features on the camera. So they'll watch like a 30-minute video just to get one little nugget. It's okay. 30 minutes of this. Let's play at 2x speed. Okay, okay. Yeah, that's how you do that. Like the question I got today, how do you turn off the flicker mode or turn on the flicker mode, right? I forget who asked, but most of you are already really good photographers and it's like there's one thing that you just can't get your brain wrapped around. Like, how do you turn on the flicker reduction, right? It's like, it's got to be here. Where is it? It's very frustrating. And it's nice to be able to come to my channel, particularly in live streams, and just get a quick answer, relatively quick, right? Um, I can't tell you how many times I would love to be able to just pick up the phone or go on a live stream and ask somebody a question and get an answer rather than digging through hours and hours of YouTube just to find one answer or searching on Google for days sometimes to find something. Um, I mean, things are getting better, but still, it's I just having a moment here. I forgot what I was talking about, but yeah, that's what happens when the chat drops off the front page here. Yeah, I don't know what happened to David Thorpe exactly. I tried to research. This is a good example. I tried to find out. I couldn't. Other than somebody saying he was ill, but I don't know if he's ill or just, that would be the only reason he'd stop doing YouTube channels is because he's ill, I would think. Why else would you stop? Um, Sorry for the double pose. Oh, that's all right. I get it. You're 81? Oh my God. I should be lucky to live so long. And but I know exactly because I took care of my uncle for 10 years with a lot of the same things that happen when you get old, right? Um, you put them on your big TV, huh? Um, I I thought that would be kind of cool, but I just never did it. I'd rather get a picture frame, a digital picture frame, and do it that way. Um, like if I had one on my desk just rotating, but it's not the same as printing. But Demorkin actually uh, creates slideshows for televisions of his own photography, and I don't know if it's a business or what, but he does that. He makes slideshows on a thumb drive, and they go on people's TVs, like in offices or waiting rooms, things like that, that show his photography. And if you think your shot is good, ask yourself, would you hang it on a wall? Yeah. I think, sometimes some photography I think is good, but doesn't qualify as wall. Hang on the wall type photography. I mean, when I think of hang on the wall type photography, as Randy used to say, the hang on the wall award. I haven't seen Randy at Sundays lately. I know it's early there for him, but I think of more fine art type photography. Uh, but there's a lot of photography that I think is excellent, but I wouldn't hang it on my wall. And you're welcome. You're welcome, Jay Carson. I appreciate that. Um, Always happy to help when I can. And 60-second shorts for quick. Oh, hey, Roberto. That reminds me, in your vlog, you didn't know how to use silent shutter or something. It was like one of the settings, like, oh, anti-shock shutter. You have to go in a different menu to activate anti-shock shutter, and then it'll show up in your super control panel. You couldn't find anti-shock in the super control panel, but that's because it's turned off in the display menu. If you go into the display, I think it's display menu D. That's actually going to be one of my. I'm going to make another video and address that, but I'm just telling you now. D. Yeah, right here. Ah, green screen. No, what screen is it? Number 4. Number 5. Can I zoom in? Oh, there. Yeah, if you go in the menu D, settings, right here, and then you can turn on and off different different shutter modes. So I turned off high speed. What is that? High speed silent, right? I turned it off. So now if I go in the super control panel, it's not going to be here. High speed silent. So I'd have to go back into the menu and turn it back on. So anti-shock basically is turned off. That's all. So yeah, proof that I watch your vlogs. Um, the tax rock. I don't know what you're talking about there. And let's see. Oh, Plato's leaving. Okay, Plato. Oh, it's 12 o'clock. Yeah, I should probably wrap it up. Uh, Thanks for coming in today, Plato. Always good to see you. All right, I think this is a question for me. Rodtrick, hi. Dark blue track buttons. I noticed white spots appearing in the raw file. Look like joined rectangles at 90 degrees from each other. There's the same on my EM5 Mark III. Any ideas? All I can think of is maybe you need to do one of those pixel things. Um, you might have some dead pixels. If you email me an image that has that problem, I might be able to figure it out. Because like one guy sent me an image. He's saying he kept getting, dark lines in his pictures. And I said, well, it could be a lot of different things. Send me a picture of what the problem is. So he sent me one of his images, and I said, that looks like a thumbprint. I said, you probably need to either clean the back of your lens or your sensor, but there's a thumbprint. And then he gets back to me like a month later, says, yeah, there was a thumbprint on the back of my lens. I'm like, okay. But for Lysippus, I think, let me go back. Number 5. What was the question again? Oh, yeah. This. Um, it's in that. I'm pretty sure it's in utility menu. I'm not sure which camera you have, but it's always one of the last things. Utility. Yeah, it's called pixel mapping. So you go here and just do start, and then what it'll do is turn off the dead pixels and substitute it with the surrounding pixels. Um, is my guess. Whoops, I need to go back. Oh, John Truman makes photo books. That's cool. I've yet to do that myself. And Roberta says, "Oh, is that where it is?" Yeah, that's right. Anti-shock menu that has the choice to put the seconds. Yeah, I went through the anti-shock. No, not that one. Yeah, you can turn it on and off. Like there's certain modes. I stopped using anti-shock. I just use a silent shutter now. If I'm using flash, I'll use anti-shock, but I use mostly silent shutter. Or if I need the pan, then I don't want rolling shutter, I'll use a mechanical shutter. But uh, I found even anti-shock can still introduce vibration, motion blur in the picture when you're zoomed in. Wide angle lens is not so much. Uh, and John says, I wish I could share some of my OM1 Mark II shots when out with the grandchildren and family. If I could, I wouldn't use it all the time, but it would make a good feature. Yes, Hollywood. So yeah, so but see, you're already a competent photographer and you're comfortable with the camera. I was referring to new buyers, people that are new to photography or new to buying a real camera. They're not buying that camera because they want to be able to share them, right? That's what I'm thinking. So, like, I would love to be able to share instantly some of my photos. Not often, but sometimes when I'm out in the field and I take a shot, I say, "Oh, check this out." It'd be definitely more engaging and be great for social media and maybe more fun. Um, but at the same time, I think for new buyers, I don't know. It's a much bigger problem than I can really wrap my head around. What is the problem with the camera market? I don't know. Rest in peace. Ah, is that so? Wow, that's huge. Uh, dark track buttons. Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered your question when I'm looking at this again. I noticed white spots appearing in. Oh, yeah, I think that answers the question. Okay. Ah, it's spam. It's not true. Okay, Roberto. Yeah, it would be huge. I think sirens would be going off if, anyway, like my phone would be going crazy probably. I don't know. When somebody of any consequence passes, any prominent figure. And Thomas says, other than when I need to use flash, let's put this up. What is this saying here? I now only use silent. A couple of days ago, I forgot I had set the shutter to anti-shock. The clicks seemed to so clunky, it took me by surprise. Yeah. Yeah, silent shutter doesn't have too many downsides, right? Maryland made Australian news today. Is that so? What happened in Maryland? I can verify it. I can just look up my window because I live in Maryland, right? I can just look out the window and see what happened. Um, Oops, where's it's my thing. Please, Roberto, tell me what you heard in Maryland. The Great Vanzini. Hello. It's a troll. Okay. Oh, murders. Yeah, that's all the time. My God. Where I live, it's just people are taking each other out all the time. That's why I'm always a little nervous, especially in DC and stuff. But okay, everyone, I think I'm gonna call it here. I need to go out and see my mom, wish her a happy Mother's Day. So to all you moms out there, happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a good one. And I will I will be back no later than Sunday next week. So we'll see you again then. I'll try and fit in maybe a photo editing live stream in between if I can. But definitely I want to do some more photo walks and maybe one of my Ask Rob Trek videos. So stay tuned, subscribe, donate if you like, support the channel. But either way, I hope to see you guys again soon, and thanks for watching. I have an end button. I do. I do. Where is it? Let me try this one. No, no, none of these. Oh, end stream. Okay, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you later.